Hello, I'm Una, and we are waiting for Tom Sanger to join us. Looks like we are live, so that is great. I'm going to go see if Tom can join. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Hey, how are ya?
Can you see me?
Yes, now I can. Sort of.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I can see you too.
Okay, fantastic. Hi.
It's got the camera off, it says, but it looks like it's working.
Okay, yeah, I can see you.
Okay,
Oh, okay. Awesome. Um, all right. So how have you been?
good. How about self?
Good. Um, yeah. Tom, you've
Yeah.
been leading trips up to the Mount Baker area for quite a while now. I know that next month, August 14th, 15th, and 16th, will be your third trip that you have done with the Seattle UFO Network and several other meetup groups in the Seattle area. Um, but I know that you used to lead trips up to that area back in the 1990s, if I remember right. Do you mind telling us a little bit about how that got started?
Yeah, my initial experiences started in late '88, and that's when we went up there just randomly, you might say, in 1988 and '89. And then in the '90s, I started taking small groups of people up there. And that
Okay,
was relatively informal, and that was pre-internet too, so very hard to get people together to go up there. We get little groups of 4 to 8 people, something like that, up there.
sure. Okay. And if you can give us kind of a little sneak peek, you don't have to tell the full story, but what happened in 88?
88 was, it would take me an hour to explain, but it was a very abrupt beginning to me knowing I was a contactee or experiencer, whatever you want to call us guys. It was very traumatic. But what happened is I realized that it can't all be negative out there. So I put myself out in the environment and said, you know what, whatever this experience is, just do what you're going to do. I'd actually go out in the wilderness, and I'd have all kinds of bizarre missing time experiences and so on. But what it did is it led me, you might say it actually led me to this actual mountain called the Pleiades up in Washington State. It's actually a part of Mount Larrabee. It comes off of Mount Larrabee. And anybody can look that up. Look up Mount Larrabee or the Pleiades, and they'll find it. It's up on the Canadian border. And then the experiences became very positive up there. There's never been a negative experience up there. I always say it's kind of owned. The whole area is owned, you might say, by more positive elements, you might say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And when you come and talk for our SUFON group on August 16th, you'll maybe go into a little bit more of your story. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. If we just wing it, I'm going to have a little digital slide presentation that I already sent you the slides for.
Absolutely,
and,
yeah.
It'll be just very informal, and we'll wing it and leave it open to questions and so on. And we might be bringing back some very interesting stuff from our trip.
Absolutely, I'm
a couple of weeks here, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up really soon. So if someone was interested in still going on the trip, what should they do? How should they go about that?
Best thing to do is join the join your group, the SUFON meetup group.
Okay.
And the event is posted there. All the information you need is there, and my contact information, my actual email address is on there. And plus you'll be supporting your group, which is a good thing.
Okay.
And that way they'll be tied in with other events you have as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if anyone's watching this and is not sure what SUFON is, SUFON is the Seattle UFO, and you can reach us by going to meetup.com/Seattle UFO and just join, and then you can find the event that we're talking about, and you can get all the information that you need to go up. Now, I believe right now all the rooms in the lodge that you're staying at, and that kind of a core group of people are staying at, are booked at this point. Is that correct? But you have there are other lodging options in the area, correct?
Yeah, there should be tons available. Depends on if a person wants to share, a lodge or whatever with someone else. Otherwise, it could be a bit expensive. Well, you stayed a couple years ago in that one that was pretty nice actually, and it was very inexpensive. I think you had 3 people along or something like that.
We ended up just having 2 because some people canceled at the last minute. But it was very nice, very comfortable, and it was not a bad price. So
yeah, they're actual condos that these people rent out to skiers and so on, and it's right across the street from our primary place where we all meet up there at a particular restaurant, which a person can find out the information of the meeting time, the restaurant name, and so on by joining your SUFON group. And the event is called Pleiades 2015 for mid-August there on the SUFON site.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's August 14th, 15th, and 16th. And then on the 16th, you're coming back down to Seattle, and you'll be presenting for SUFON from between 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. And we're really looking forward to that.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. So just for the benefit of people who aren't familiar with this, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your own background and what you have going on right now in Arizona, etc.?
Yeah, well, my background has been, the average human, working and so on, and nothing spectacular in that. But, my experiences began in '88, and I've gone through so many different things with that, plus some pretty good-sized lull periods. But right now, especially in Tucson, it's really getting pretty wild down here, and I did made a video on July 4th people can go to YouTube and look it up under my name, Tom, leave a space, and then Sanger, Sanger, and that's kind of going mini viral, I guess you might say. It's up to over 10,000 hits on it. So yeah, people are watching that, and I'm getting feedback from that. But that's has a life of its own. And then up there during the Pleiades 2015 event, we're going to have the same night vision equipment that I made that video with up there at a couple different locations for UFO night watches. And there's quite a few people who are going already. So it could be very interesting up there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That sounds fascinating. Okay. And let's see. So you regularly go out to Sabino Canyon and some places near where you live down in Tucson and see things. That's correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Tucson has got so much stuff going on, it's unbelievable. To the west, the mountain range to the west, it tends to be the orange fireball type lights, and Border Patrol has said that they do not register on their thermal imaging. So they look like they're on fire, and yet there's no heat signature. And then over to the north of the mountain range to the north, we get a lot of stuff going on as well. So we just had this last Saturday, we went out and we saw a UFO, and then there was a jet, not following it, but I was able to video the jet in contrast to the UFO. Had a number of witnesses on that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And we know the difference between running lights, satellites,
if I might ask, what kind
of ISS, and everything else.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who does a lot of night watching is going to see that, at one point or another, I'm sure.
So, yeah, we don't make mistakes on that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. And what makes you feel drawn out to look at the sky? Is there a particular thing that draws you to do that, or can you talk a little bit about your own connection, if there is one, between you and the, say, ETs or those who watch over you, in a sense, or how would you put?
I've had a handful of times when it was a definite, you might say, a hit where I get a very strong body reaction, and then a little mini message. It's not in words, it's just a thought, and it's only just a couple words. But that's about it on that. Other than that, they use telepathy. They know who you are, where you are. So if you go out, you don't have to necessarily feel drawn to go to a location like I go to. It's like we go out there. Well, they already know we're out there, and then they will do what they feel like doing in relation to us, whatever that may be. And usually it's nothing at all. They don't always show up at all. But when it's appropriate, they do, and it can be downright amazing. The timing, it'll be right on exact word you're saying, and then they show up, that sort of thing. So it's really, it's really about them and not about me. I just kind of make myself available, and they do all the stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I've noticed that too myself sometimes, and I've heard that from other contactees, that almost it seems like sometimes what you see in the sky is like almost a direct response to, say, internal thoughts or questions, or almost requests for validation in a certain sense. And it does seem like there's many times it does seem like there's a very strong telepathic connection or link there.
They do it all the time like that. I just call it trail markers, where they're leaving these little markers that, if you know how to read them correctly, a lot of people would just miss it and go, oh, a bright flash in the sky. But if you go back and look at exactly what you were saying, they time it for that. And these people who have been going out there with me, they've noticed that. They go, wow, you just said so-and-so, which was, highly significant, whatever I said or they said, and then, something shows up. And usually it's not some big event. It'll just be a flash in the sky or something all of a sudden glowing out there and then receding, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a validation, and it happens so often that it's just obviously not just random coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that synchronicity is really important in the overall contact experience.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to pay attention to the synchronicities that pop up in our own lives in general and in the contact experience.
Yeah, I call it reading the experience, where you just really need to pay attention to being able to read it rather than missing all kinds of little markers.
Okay, can you go into that in a little bit more depth? I'm curious about that.
It's pretty simple, because we've had experiences out there, and some people will just kind of miss the whole thing. Or my 4th of July video, people will say, oh, well, I guess UFOs like to show up for the fireworks. And I'll go, okay, they're missing the whole thing here with what was going on with that experience. But, it really does tie in with conversations. It ties in also with who you bring out there and what their need might be at the time. Like if they've never experienced anything before, this one young woman, this light showed up and it made this big glow and then just kind of drifted, you might say, and then disappeared. And it was not an Iridium satellite. We know about Iridium satellites. But it was over the mountains, and it was very aesthetic. It was absolutely beautiful. And she just felt, and I felt it too, this feeling of contentment. And then for the next few days, she just went through I guess you could say, the spiritual ringer, where all this deep stuff was going on with her when she went home after that for the next few days. So that's how this works a lot of times, if you don't gloss it over and really see what's going on with it. So it's actually, the experience is actually tailored for individuals rather than just some light show. There's a tailoring of it as far as what you need at the time on an individual level.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they're smart and they're telepathic. They can do these things. Yeah.
Sure. Well, then what would it be like for like a group of people, do you think? I mean, because the needs of a group might be so different or disparate rather than, for an individual.
Yeah, that's a good question. This Saturday we were out at a different location. And it was funny because my friend had just bought this camera that does a great job of night vision color, and he had it on a tripod, and he's sitting over at the end of this. We had a line of people rather than a circle, and he got in such a deep conversation. We're over on the other end going, UFO, and he just missed the entire thing. He was just so content with his conversation. But for our little group over there, I was on the camera, and I saw this white solid light, which should not exist, because it was going from the left to the right of us, you might say, and it should have had running lights. It did not have running lights. So I was looking at that on my monitor, because I run my camera to monitor. This other guy had it through the binoculars, so I was able to go moment by moment exacting what he was seeing. So I was really, saying, "Now, are you sure no running lights?" He says, "Absolutely no running lights." And this other
Wow.
person actually walked out in front of my camera going towards the UFO, and she said, "No, no running lights whatsoever. This is a big white light moving across." And then a military jet followed after that, always at the time after that, but you could compare the lights. So for our group, it wasn't anything, no cosmic messages. It was a little more technically oriented, where we were able to get verification from different people of what was going on, so that it became a very solid event. And then I looked it up. No International Space Station seen in Tucson at that time. And of course, Iridium satellites make a glow that goes on for 5 to 20 seconds, and it didn't do that. It was a big, solid white light, way bigger than an airplane light with no running light. So that was our group experience. It wasn't a in-depth anything having to do with emotions or things like that. It was more technical.
Okay. Okay. Fascinating.
Yeah.
All right. No, actually, when you talk about technical versus a more internal experience, that leads me to another question.
Okay.
Where do you believe that you've seen what could be classified as a UFO, and it's like not conventional aircraft, but maybe is like but our technology versus say their technology? Some. Do you see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
more like
absolutely.
ours versus theirs.
Yeah.
And can you see that at all, or how do you tell the difference? Or
That was a real good point with that one, because it was definitely a military jet that I moved my camera over and captured that for contrast. The military jet was quite a ways away from this light, but it was going the same direction, trajectory, and the whole thing. So it was a long way away, but I kind of looked at that and went, wow, possibly were those connected? Was I seeing, does our government or shadow government have crafts that are capable of doing that, where they fly them in the middle of the night with no running lights, and they're actually would be considered UFOs as far as an alien type of technology? See, I don't know. So with an event like that, I could just record it, and there it was. No way of knowing.
Sure. So you're saying it's hard to tell them apart.
Well, on
I
that
would
one,
agree.
yeah, on the 4th of July one, that was definitely the ETs. Absolutely on that one.
Okay.
That was off the charts outrageous, and they set the whole thing up. They're actually very funny, because I checked on the map, and the exact line from where we are to the UFO goes to Greer, Arizona, Greer. I love it. So it's a little inside joke on their part. As in
Oh, okay.
Stephen Greer. So they do this little funny stuff all the time. So
Okay.
that even further validated it. That they're little inside joke on their part.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, fascinating. All right. I noticed that we're at about the 30-minute mark here.
Okay.
So do you have any thoughts or anything that you'd like to add before we wrap up our interview?
No, certainly. Anybody who wants to join in, we got a little over 2 weeks before the August 15th event up there. And if they just, like I say, become a member with your site, they'll have all the information. And it's a no-fee event, but they do need to cover for their lodging. Some people are actually camping out up there. There's so many different options. Then we have a couple restaurants right there we go to for dinners and so on. So it's made real easy, as you know, from going there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, someone would need to provide their own transportation, lodging, and food. But as far as participating in the group activities, there's absolutely no fee for that.
No fee, no fee whatsoever. No.
Yeah. Okay, they should just be able, they should just get in touch with you through the SuFund site in order to
Yeah.
get touch base with you about where they need to show up and when.
If they go to join SuFund, go to the event, it will actually have the time and the restaurant location where we all meet, and then we go from there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can just say from my own experience going on this trip for the past 2 years that I've always had a great time and met really, really wonderful people and just had fabulous conversations. And
Yeah.
the scenery is breathtaking. You can't pick a more beautiful spot, I think.
We got rained on an awful lot, though.
We did the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But it's been a dry summer overall, in the Northwest here. So hopefully,
Cross our fingers.
good weather. What do you say?
I said cross our fingers on that one.
Absolutely. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. I'm doing this interview, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, we'll see you on the 16th up there for the little doodad. What is it? The Russian?
It's the Russian Community Center in
Russian
Seattle.
Center, yeah. On the
I'll
16th.
send you the address and make sure that you have all the information that you
Yeah, and that event is on your SuFund site as well.
Yes, it is.
I'm plugging your SuFund site.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And if anyone happens to be watching this from Tucson, you have your own Tucson UFO network.
Correct.
I'm sorry?
I figured, what the heck? You're called SuFund. I might as well be Tufon, right? So I'm the Tufon UFO network, and people can join that as well down here.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Tom, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Thank you, Anna. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Are you still there?
Oh, yeah, I am.